The second best partner. I found out my wife of 6 years has been cheating on me just yesterday. The last couple years of our marriage haven't been the best though. We've both been pretty distant and the magic is gone. I am probably mostly to blame for that since I work manual labor and long hours, so I get home and don't really ever want to do anything. I started thinking something was up a few weeks ago, so I asked her about it, and of course she denied it. I'm not proud of this, but it got so bad that I bought a camera to put in our room while I was out of town for work. Sure enough, this confirmed it. I didn't see anything but heard phone conversations. I was crushed. I've never felt pain this bad. I flew home early without telling her to confront her. Once she knew I had put the camera up, she naturally was pretty mad but came clean. Some guy she met online who is also married. This is exactly what her mom did to her dad when we first got married. She was there to pick her dad back up and saw how devastating it was. She broke things off with him and we set up a marriage counseling appointment in a few days. Deep down I still love her, but I don't know if I can ever look at her again without thinking of the other guy. I have so much hate for him, I can't stand it. Also, I told her to delete all her social media accounts, which she did. Last night as we were talking, she told me if our marriage gets as bad as it was, she will probably cheat again. That hurt about as much as the actual betrayal. She also says if we work things out, she won't let me be nosy with her texts and messages because she couldn't live like that. She really does seem legitimately sorry, but when she says those things I just don't know. I told her I didn't blame her, I know why she did it. She needed attention and she wasn't getting it from me. We have a 2-year-old daughter in the mix as well. I guess I'm just wondering if it's even possible to forgive and forget. Like I said, I can't stop thinking of the two of them together. I just don't want this pain anymore, but I don't think I can let her go. I read some things yesterday about that but have been in denial. I just want things to go back to normal, or at least as normal as they could get. I guess they never will be. Deep down I think she's just done with me. She said she needed some time apart to think of what she wants too. I just wish I could go back in time and fix things before this all happened. The only info I have is his wife's name that I heard on a phone call, and it's only a first name. I took her phone when I first confronted her on everything, but she locks it. She has it back now. This might not be the right place to ask this, but as far as my daughter in custody goes, I know it's oftentimes the mom who gets them. But she has had mental health problems since before we got married. When we were married for only a year, she tried to kill herself. She was the one her dad went to for support after his divorce from her mom, and I guess the stress of it all got to her. Which makes this even more shocking to me. She spent a few days in an inpatient mental health care facility. I stayed with her obviously and helped her get back up. She is abusing meds right now too to lose weight. I think that's when this started happening. She's always had a low self-esteem and recently has been feeling better about herself. I don't know if I could prove this in a custody battle though. I don't know if it would help me either. I love my daughter so much. She's the thing that's keeping me going. She loves her mom too though. They spend more time together since I'm at work a lot, but she just plops her in front of the TV and plays on her phone. It would ruin me if I knew that's all her childhood was going to be. She just keeps saying she doesn't want to ruin another marriage. I told her that she's just protecting him. I can't believe this happened to me. I can't stand this pain anymore. She's standing right here telling me why she is truly sorry when I am telling her all the things you guys are saying point to. She is only sorry for getting caught. I can't believe her. I can't believe she did this to our family. She set up counseling for later today. I will wait to see what happens there. I hope they just break her down and make her feel a fraction of the pain she's giving me. Your responses have been eye-opening. Thank you. I don't have any close friends anymore and I needed someone to talk to. I kicked her out. I was still too in shock to do that last night. That seemed to knock a little sense into her. She was bawling when she left. Crazy thing is her best friend just had her husband leave her the day they got home from the hospital after having their first baby. Then the situation with her dad a few years ago. She's been very close to how crushing this crap can be and still does it herself. Her dad knows now. He's on my side. He's been really helpful with all of this. She was in a state facility, so it will be on record. I figured there would be something like that. This is a load off my mind when it ends up getting ugly. At counseling today, the therapist told me I should wait until Monday to do that, so I'm not just doing it out of hate. But she also told my wife that if I want to do that Monday, she should turn over that info. Wife agreed to it. I found the password and everything sync. I have pics, conversations, everything I need to bring him down. Now I just need to think of something clever to text him seconds before I tell his wife and his world gets destroyed. I would be lying if I said I'm not going to enjoy this. My comment: your wife has made a choice. The situation might have led her to cheat, but at a choice amongst other ones that she could have made. It doesn't sound like she is remorseful either. She has made her move by her cheating, and now it's your turn to make yours. R or D. I hope all goes well for you. OP responds. Honestly, all the things that she said were day of me finding out. Not immediately when I confronted her, but maybe 12 HRS later. I think we were both still trying to process things. She was still in shock. I kicked her out yesterday, and that seemed to bring it all home for her. She was bawling. She took full responsibility and did say she would do anything it takes to stay with me. The counselor is having us separate through the weekend and go back on Monday. She said it was all too fresh for us to be making any life-changing decisions. I have to agree with her. My emotions have been running wild and I have several ups and downs a day. I know she made the choice. I know I am not to blame for her choice, but I do take half, or more, responsibility for the state of our marriage has been in the last few years. I still don't know if I want to work things out or not. She told me I could read every text she gets and check through her phone whenever I want to. I've never been the jealous type, never thought I needed to keep tabs on her until these last couple months. I don't want to have to check her phone forever either, so it comes back to the trust thing. If, once that's rebuilt, I can go from there. The biggest thing is I really don't know if I'll be able to forget the OM. I feel like he'll randomly pop back up in my head forever. It's still only been 2 days though, so I don't know anything yet. Thanks for everyone's input so far. This has been a pretty rough time for me. Does anyone else have any input on forgetting the OM? She is currently groveling. It's hard to convey everything on here too. It's impossible for all of you to know the history me and her have, and I know that doesn't always matter. It hasn't been the easiest marriage for sure, but me and her have endured through harder things than the average couple goes through. She has gone through major trauma herself too. Not this before, but it was major. I'm not making excuses for her either. What she did was wrong, and I honestly don't know if I'll ever be able to forgive her for it. I did have second thoughts about contacting the OM directly though, and decided not to. Most of the scenarios played out in my head ended with me behind bars. This is a pretty rough situation to be in, and all of the responses of every kind have helped me immensely. 3 days later she came to the house to spend time with our daughter. We talked for quite a bit. Not really about the affair, but just small talk really. I left to go run some errands. I feel no emotions one way or another. It's very odd. I've never been one to show emotion too much anyway, but this has got me confused. I currently don't feel mad or even sad about it. No hate, no love, no nothing. I don't quite know how to process this. And honestly, last night I think I had the same feeling. I wished I could have exposed him the day I confronted my wife, but I literally had no information on him except his wife's name I heard over a phone call. This was all done over a Facebook message, and now I'm starting to think the OM got to it first. The response was this: "Thanks you for your message. He told me a couple days ago and we are working on our issues. Good luck to you and your wife." I found nothing too odd about it initially, and I was going to just leave it at that too. She would likely be in pain and maybe didn't want to accept it or talk about it yet. But then I decided to reply to wish her luck as well and found I had been blocked. That doesn't seem like a normal response to me, but I don't know. I don't want to keep hounding her if it was indeed her, but now I have my doubts. Any good methods on getting a cell phone number? Contacted OMW at work. It was her husband that replied to me on Facebook, then deleted the message and blocked me. Spineless piece of crap. She actually said he told her last night, so I didn't have to experience dropping that bomb on someone. She is still in shock. She has been texting me questions. I told my wife and she was upset, mostly because she didn't want me and the OMW to keep talking, haha. She was hoping it would be a single conversation and it would be over. I find that pretty hilarious. As far as my plans go, I'm really not sure yet. I'm just taking it one day at a time and still kind of in disbelief over this whole situation. My comment: I hope that you laughed at your wife when she expressed concern with you talking to her. Continue to observe her and get her out of the door if you see or smell something fishy. If you decide to stay with her, you need to accept you will spend your life constantly observing her. Story 2. Found out my wife had an emotional, physical affair with an acquaintance back in Jan 2017, which ended in late March 2017. We'd been married for over 10 years with 2 kids, 4 and 7. I had feelings that something was wrong in our marriage starting in late December 2016, but couldn't put my finger on it. I spoke with her 2 times during the affair to tell her something was off, but she said these were just normal ebbs and flows of the marriage. We still were sleeping together 2 to 3 times a week, although it lacked a sense of intimacy that I desired, lots of eye contact and deep kissing. During this time period, my wife basically checked out not only on me but also the kids. She was much more wrapped up in work, was out with her friends more, verified, and just seemed to be doing the bare minimums. Because of my suspicions, I started monitoring her text messages but found nothing overly suspicious until August of this year. In August, I found a string of messages between her and this guy that was nothing overly suspicious, but definitely longer in length that I would have considered normal for a wife and male friend to be having. My wife is friends this guy's wife too. Then I found another message between her and a girlfriend making mention of this guy and that they had a history. So needless to say, I freaked the hell out and confronted her, which basically consisted of me unloading 9 months of hell on her because I knew something was up but didn't know much. She broke down into a crying mess saying how sorry she was but never telling me the whole story. Fast forward a week and each successive day having found out more information about what exactly happened. Long story short, he started it. It started in January, ended in March. There was dirty texting involved. She sent him 4 pictures, he sent 1 to 2. Both expressed regret at various stages of the affair. They never sleep together. How do I know all that? I was able to recover every message, text, email sent from her phone during that time period. She did not have a burner phone, use Snapchat, blah blah blah, so let's not go there. They only communicated via text period. After I found out all the details, she was very remorseful, wanted to go see a marriage counselor, see individual therapists, etc. Said she would spend the rest of her life showing me how sorry she was, building back trust. I told her that if I ever found out one new detail that she left out, one new lie, etc., the marriage would be over immediately. She knows I am really serious about that. It's now December and I'm in a much different place. My anger has been replaced with sadness, sometimes, and I'm mostly concerned about the deceit of it all. The physical aspects could happen to anyone. We both admitted that over the past 2 years, we've been coasting and been very focused on the kids and less on us. Therapy has been going well and she's learned that she has been depressed, had been having a hard time being a good wife, good worker, and good mom, and that by trying to control all of that, she got out of control. It's not an excuse, but it is what it is. The dude isn't that good looking and she claims it was never about him per se, but the fantasy of it. The escape of it. Now granted, she did some horrible things during that time, things I'll never 100% get over. She has never talked to the guy post the day I found out, period. She removed him from her phone and I've been monitoring her email, SMS, Facebook, Instagram, etc. Every single indicator tells me that she is committed to rebuilding our marriage, and we have gone back and redefined acceptable boundaries, what we expect out of our new marriage, and had discussions about if we can meet those expectations. We've been in lockstep on what we've laid out. She claims that the weight of the lies was crushing her and that she doesn't know who that person was. To further that point, I said she was friends with the wife, along with a large group of girls. During this whole thing, she maintained her friendships with these girls despite the fact that she was texting with the husband. Now that they know, they've all abandoned her because they feel betrayed. Like, how could you do this and then turn around and hang out with us knowing what you were doing? My wife says the thought of losing friends never occurred to her, which shows you the power of attraction while this was actually happening. Our physical life has improved dramatically and I wouldn't call it hysterical bonding. She says that because she almost lost everything, she had to make a choice to be more present in all aspects of her life. And in the brief time, it seems like it's working. She has re-engaged with kids, etc. Bonding is night and day different with regards to eye contact and kissing. By no stretch am I claiming that we're good. I've forgiven her, I'm over it, and that everything will be good moving forward. We have good days and bad. She answers all of my questions, no matter how many times I ask her. I feel good about moving forward knowing that we still have a lot to work on, but my questions, concerns are, despite her telling and showing me she wants to fix things, I still can't help feeling like I'm second choice and she is staying because the other options are less attractive and thus, she's putting 100% effort into fixing it. I don't want to be a consolation prize. She didn't sleep with this guy, but in a way she did. How can I get over the fact that she was texting physical things with another man? Just time. We didn't really text prior to this happening, and doing so now would sort of freak me out and trigger bad thoughts about what she did with him. Just looking for thoughts. What I don't want to get into is discussions around if I'm sure she didn't sleep together, etc. They didn't. It was a 3-month textual affair, period. None of the text messages between them ever discussed love, wanting to meet, or this being anything other than text talking about sleeping with another person. How is that plan A? It was a fantasy. Call me delusional. Doesn't make me feel any better though. Made her do a poly. She passed the test. Results came back as saying she hadn't had affairs, physical, emotional. In the past, the affair she did have was not physical. I feel better knowing she was telling the truth. I guess this is the 1% that didn't take it all the way. I take some solace that she didn't, although I still get ill thinking about the pics she sent him. She has a ton of work to do on herself and has been going to her own therapist for 3 months, and we've been seeing AMC for 3 months. Plus I see my own for solo work. I'll know very easily if she's sliding back into her old ways, if she's not passionate, etc. I won't make the same mistake I did last time and stick around for the dumpster fire. A year later, my wife and I have been in a very good reconciliation for over a year now. Since our D-Day last August, she's been nothing but remorseful and has worked very hard to figure out why she did it, and has worked hard to really better herself and thus our marriage. In IC and MC, I've never doubted her sincerity in knowing what she did was wrong, and how it almost cost her everything. As a point, she did not physically cheat. She sent pics and texted with a person whom I knew very well. We lost an entire group of friends because they wanted nothing to do with her after she did it, and I've been 100% fine with it because these friends weren't really friends in the first place. We've now got new friends who are safe and support us 100%. It's a night and day difference between friends who only cared about themselves and new friends who have a vested interest in our happiness and reconciliation. Anyway, my issue is this. Last night my wife said she continues to be sad and sorry about how her decisions let me down and how her bad decisions impacted me. This all sounds nice, however, what irritates me is that she uses the word me and not us. There is a big difference to me, and she says those words are interchangeable. If she used us, then it implies that she realizes that it wasn't just me that she let down but also herself and our kids. Etc. Me implies that she is sorry for what she did, knows it was wrong, but also could mean that despite all that, she still enjoyed it and even it was worth it. She says otherwise. Am I overthinking it? Like I said, there hasn't been one day since our D-Day that she's shown any sort of bad behavior. She's answered all my questions over and over, has really changed as a person, etc. Me versus us is a big thing for me. She just didn't cheat on me. She cheated on us, herself, and her kids. She had cheap thrills with a loser who could have cost her everything. Luckily, she didn't physically cheat or I'd have been out the door. Her affair didn't have anything to do with me per se and all to do with her lack of boundaries, with men stemming all the way back to her childhood. The actual affair went on for 3 months, but I didn't find out until several months later through my own PI skills. I felt our relationship had been off for months. There was 1 week of trickle truth and then it all stopped because she knew I was going to leave. She never exchanged any sort of love messages with this other person. It was strictly physical. How do I know? Well, I asked and she told me, plus I recovered most of the text messages. They never spoke on the phone, looked at all the records, she didn't have a burner. I played detective for a few months after we started working on things and didn't find anything. She's playing it straight now. I could be wrong, but I feel like she isn't hiding anything anymore. Her stories have stayed consistent despite me asking a billion questions in a billion different ways. She passed the poly, so I feel I have 99% of the story. To be clear, I rarely bring up the affair any longer. It's been months. Her apologizing to me was caused by something she was thinking about. But I agree that this can't be something that is held over her head like a weapon. I've forgiven her, told her to stop feeling guilty, and told her that we both need to hold up our respective ends of the bargain to keep our marriage moving forward. 3 years later, fortunately, she did all the things a remorseful spouse should do and has spent the subsequent time building back trust, love, etc. And she's done nothing in that time to ever make me question her commitment to rebuilding our marriage, etc. Our relationship overall has been 100 times better than ever before. She did not sleep with the guy. She didn't have any physical contact. Despite the normal saying of EA plus proximity equals PA, lie detector test passed. All in all, I'm almost willing to say that the affair made us better because it made us realize every day is choice, every day requires work, and nothing should be taken for granted. And unlike most affairs, it starts as a series of choices that lead down the slippery slope to crossing boundaries, which brings me to yesterday. Wife goes on a walk with our large, almost 100-pound puppy through the neighborhood. She runs into a man who is also walking his very large puppy and they strike up a conversation while the dogs play together. He's married, she told him the same, and lives down the street, blah blah blah. At the end, he says, "This is nice and maybe we can get the dogs together again. Can I get your number?" She gives it to him. She comes home and tells me what she did, and initially I didn't think anything she did was wrong. But then the past behavior of where a series of choices leads to a slippery slope came into my head. Is it most likely harmless? Of course. Does the man want to sleep with my wife? Probably. She's hot, but I don't think that was his goal. Should my wife have said something different than giving her number? Would she have had a problem if I gave my number to another woman? Probably so. This same smoothness is what got my wife into trouble with the guy 4 years ago. First, he was a friend of mine who used me to mine info he could then leverage on her, which he did exceedingly well. She made the choice too, obviously, but he definitely worked the system and struck when she was most vulnerable. We had been going through a rough patch and we didn't communicate well for a period of time. She owns the responsibility for the affair, just saying. Was just pointing out what the dude did in this scenario. My wife definitely made her series of choices, series of lies. It felt good to her, she likes the excitement, and she crossed boundaries. She blamed it on herself and her weaknesses with boundaries, and she liked the excitement. She went to intensive one-to-one therapy for a year to figure her crap out. She's 100% transparent now. She answers any and all questions I have about what happened. Apologizes all the time, not just to me, but how it impacted us and our kids. But in this specific case, she seems to have regressed to old behaviors. I'll need to address this when she gets home. Update. My wife was very open to hearing my concerns and immediately recognized that she had done something to break trust. She says that both her and this other man spoke extensively about their respective spouses and that it was understood that if they were to get together, the other spouse would definitely be there. In her mind, it was not something even remotely close to being anything other than friendly. However, she said she saw my side and made an act with her therapist to understand better why she did it, given our history, her historical lack of boundaries, and giving her number out to strangers is not a good policy all around. She understood it was a breach of trust, expressed remorse for making me have to relive painful moments from our past, and deleted the number from her phone. I made it clear that this behavior would not be tolerated as part of what I expect from my marriage. But I also made it clear that if she feels the behavior was innocent and not a big deal, that is within her right, but I wouldn't be a part of a marriage that has that kind of latitude. She also says she needs help in feeling empowered to say no despite it being potentially awkward in situations like that. To which I said the man should know better, and thus you are saying no makes it clear that you are not available. She agreed, and again will take this up with her therapist. To be clear, from the moment I found out that she had her little fling 4 years ago, to which I honestly believe it didn't go physical, I said that I would never ever let someone do that to me again. I will not be stepped on, I will not play second fiddle to anyone else, I will not be with anyone who doesn't fully commit to what it takes to be in a relationship. As I mentioned in the beginning, she's done all the steps, read all the books, done the therapy, and will continue to go to therapy to figure her crap out. Is this a setback? Yes, but it's not enough for me to just walk away. People make dumb choices all the time, and she made one here. It's not enough for me to say screw it and file for divorce. There are exceptions to the rule, and despite everyone on this board 4 years ago telling me she physically cheated, she didn't, and I believe it. I recovered every text message between them, every photo, and scrubbed her phone records. They didn't even talk on the phone. So, while the odds suggest a PIA happened, it didn't. Call me naive, call me whatever. I was blind and didn't want to believe what I was suspecting when it was happening 4 years. I had inklings that something was going on back then, but I couldn't mentally believe it. I didn't want to believe it, and thus I did get mowed over. My physical health declined, our kids suffered, and I was weak. That is 100% not the case today, and I would leave the marriage without a second thought if I believed that anything nefarious was really going on here now and in the future. She messed up, she's going to address it, and we'll hopefully move on. If she can't, if I can't, then she or I will end it. Marriage is a choice every single day. The moment I don't feel like our marriage is a priority, I'm gone. It's not a threat, but it's my reality and what I want out of a marriage. My comment: at least this OP knows what he wants in a marriage. Moving forward, the wife needs to constantly prove herself. 2 ongoing reconciliation story, both with emotional affairs to deal with. You think they will come out doing all right? Comment down below if you are going through a reconciliation, and I will catch you in the next one.